Bob, is it on? Okay. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. So a couple of things here before we get started. There are a couple of rows up front if nephews and nieces or family members want to come up and sit here so we can get some empty seats in the back. It's a full house, so thank you all for being here. So if we need to shuffle seats, please do so now. We'll start in a couple of minutes. Thank you. All right, hello everybody, good afternoon. This is pretty amazing. A lot more people than we thought we would see here today, so thank you for being here. By the way, my name is Rich Robles. I am one of Cal's sons-in-law. I'm married to Jenny, his oldest daughter. I'm thrilled to welcome you all here, and it's been amazing to see people from past lives, our path, the path that we had here in Michigan, and to see a lot of friends, and family members. So we are filled with gratitude that you took the time to be here. Cal Buist, Cal. A lot of things come to mind, and maybe a lot of things come to mind for you when you hear his name, or go back to the first time that you met him. I remember his very strong smile, his laughter, his kind spirit. And like we've said always, we were all just strangers for 5 or 10 seconds before you became best friends with Cal. So today we get to honor him. We get to celebrate him, and we get to celebrate him as a friend, as a dad, as a husband, as a brother, and we'll get to take the time today. He would have been the first one to tell you, hey, don't skip to the end. Live life fully. He did it. He embodied that. He was inviting of people. If you were a stranger to someone else, he would introduce you to other people, and his house was always open to everyone. A lot of us have done that. And if you ever had a chance to taste his London broils, you missed out if you didn't, because they were good. So today is about that, making sure that we celebrate, we take the time and to hear stories that makes us all smile, because that's who he was. And so I will not take more time, and it is really a pleasure to introduce a dear, dear friend of the family and talking about stories about Cal, his smile, his spirit. So Phil Buist, I'm so glad that you're here. Yeah, let's welcome Phil.
I was asked to make a few comments about Cal's values and his character. Emphasis on few, as I recall. Let's see what we can do here. Yeah, Rich has always talked about Cal's friendliness. Cal was, I think, one of the most friendly people I have ever known. And right, here we are. Look around. I met him 40 years ago, and we became friends almost instantly, because that's the way it worked with Cal. Unless you really tried to stay away, you became his friend. And so his friendliness would be one of his virtues that I want to celebrate, and we're here celebrating today. So I can't talk about all of Cal's virtues, because then it'll get long. So I'll just talk about the ones that stood out to me in 40 years. And Cal had a classic virtue, which Aristotle called phronesis, which means practical wisdom, the skill at knowing how to do things that need to be done. Cal was a person who could figure out what to do when things had to be done. His favorite job, I think, was mechanical engineering. When he worked as a designer and analyst of conveyor systems, he loved a challenge. He loved figuring things out. He had that skill of practical wisdom. He also had the virtue of fidelity, or faithfulness. Cal knew how to make commitments, and he knew how to keep them. And here we have his wife of 55 years, who can back up what I'm saying here about that. The thing that stood out most to me about Cal is that Cal was a person who had a purity of heart. Purity of heart. And that purity of heart manifested itself in different ways. One of them was that he was an honest person, extremely honest, almost to a fault. There was no duplicity, no guile. You could disagree with Cal, but you never had to worry that he was tricking you, right? That virtue of purity of heart also manifested itself in his modesty. Cal did not do things to make himself look wonderful, even though he was pretty wonderful. He didn't do things to enhance his image. And his love also came out of a pure heart too. My favorite story, well, Cal's love was not just affection. Affection is a feeling, an emotion. He had that. But Cal's love always meant him doing something for somebody, always. So here's my favorite story about Cal. This was in the 80s, and somehow or other, Cal had found out that my family was in some need. Late one night, somebody was banging on our door, so I got up and went to the door to see who was there, and there was nobody there. On the ground, there was a brown bag. That bag had $100 in it. No note, nothing, $100. So I walked outside to see if I could see somebody around, and lo and behold, probably 100 feet away, there was a man walking away from my house as fast as he could walk, and he walked just exactly like Calvin Buist. He never admitted that it was him, never. When I told him the story about, hey, Cal, there's $100 on a brown bag in front of my door one night, I'm telling him this story, and he just smiled that smile of his, and he said, is that so? Okay, Calvin, the secret is out. I have told everyone. In terms of his values, there's, we're here to think about what we valued about Cal, what we found important about him. But I'd like to talk now about the value that he had about himself. If we were to ask Cal, what's the one thing you would like us to remember about you? And here's the one thing. He had a relentless concern that his whole life in every part would be an imitation of Jesus. That was it. That was like a fragrance that was added to all of his other virtues. That's the one thing that he would want us to remember about him. And we honor him today by remembering that. I'd like to say a word of prayer, and I invite you to join me if you wish. Most merciful God, we come before you, I come before you, to thank you for the grace and blessing and kindness that has come into my life through Calvin Buist. I would ask you, O God, to remind me about the $100 in the bag whenever I'm feeling selfish, that you could remind me about Cal's example. Let it be a model to me, O Lord. Inasmuch as you are the God of all comfort, who is acquainted with grief, I would ask you today to comfort those who have lost with Cal's departure from this life. Those who loved him their lives are now empty of his tangible presence, his tangible smile, his encouraging words. We are now no longer able to hear Cal tell one of his jokes. Can't hear that laugh anymore. And Lord, if I could speak for all of us, I would ask you to give all of us, I think we all have a need for an increase in hope, both in this life and the next. I lay these requests before you with all due respect in virtue of your holy child, Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Phil. What a great way. You capture him in those words, so thank you. We continue to honor him, and I can see him saying that. Is that right? That smile. Yeah. You know it. You had that moment with him with that smile, and he was full of life, and it's a room here full of fans. And by the way, the fan club goes international because he has friends in other countries, so I know he touched many lives. And we're going to make sure we pay attention to those today. All right. There's a special, you're going to hear some special songs that we're going to play today. This particular one is of high significance, especially for Mary, because it was a couple of months ago that she walked into his room, Commonwealth, and he was listening to this song, "All That Thrills My Soul Is Jesus." And he was singing it by his bed, and he was emotionally. He was singing it emotionally. He had tears in his eyes. And it just became a song that Mary treasured, just to see Dad connected to Jesus and the spirit that he embodied. So we're going to hear the song. If you know the song, you're welcome to sing along. Otherwise, remember Cal through this song.
Skies, my heart awaking cries.
I know that the song that just played was not the song that we introduced, so that will come later. So thank you all for singing along and being patient. We'll come back to this song. All right. Now, it's a pleasure to bring, here to the front some of Cal's grandkids. And Louisa, Julie, and Shad's oldest is going to come up and read some scripture. So, Louisa, when you're ready.
Matthew 22, verses 36 through 39. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus replied, Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself.
Thank you, Louisa. And now I am going to welcome Adelaide, that she would like to say some things too.
Hello, I'm Adelaide, Cal's granddaughter. Julie is my mom. Grandpa was always so kind and loving. He always tried to visit us when he could. It was lovely to spend more time with Grandma and Grandpa when we moved closer to him. One thing I remember that was really important to Grandpa was his farm, where he and his sisters grew up. Whenever we drove past, we would talk about how he would talk about how he would pick celery and rhubarb, his house, the adventures he went on, and the store. Many times, he would also talk about his sisters, parents, and grandparents, although he didn't just talk about the farm. When we were driving, he would talk about the high school, which he was so proud of. He would talk about his house, where my mom grew up in, and many more things. When we moved here, we also got to see his family more. It was amazing that he and his sisters got together often for fest. Family eat separate together. We got to go sometimes, and I even got to meet more family and be a part of celebrations, like for graduations, and see the house he grew up in. I have so many good memories of my grandma and grandpa, like when we went to Lake Michigan with all of our family. We had so much fun, and I'll miss it a lot. I will always remember the joy he brings and the love he spreads to all.
Wow, we could just stop right there. Thank you both. That was very sweet, very sweet. All right, Shad, I think the moment has come, and so I want to welcome Shad, my brother-in-law, Julie's husband, and he is going to come and share about Cal's impact and his own stories. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. It's an honor for me to be up here. It's going to be pretty tough, though. He means a lot to me. I was trying to think back to like when we first connected, and I think it was through sports, basketball and golf. I think everybody that's played sports with Cal knows he's super competitive. Whether it's sports or playing ping pong, cards, he's looking to win, One time, quick story, when I was stationed at headquarters in the Coast Guard in D.C., and he'd come visit. We had this morning basketball group that we'd play at early, it was 5:45, and he would come and play. And it just so happened the head of the Coast Guard would play as well with us, Admiral Schultz. And for some reason, Cal was guarding Admiral Schultz every time we played. And he put the full court press on the Admiral. And goodness, we usually let the Admiral win, so I was like, just simmer down a bit, He didn't let up at all. And one of the first times I met the family, we had a cabin up north, and Callie was one at the time. And we played cards around the table, and the weather, it was the winter, so we weren't outside much, and just had a lovely time with the family. And he laughed so hard and just so happy to be around the family. He was a great athlete, very coordinated. I never saw him play softball, but I heard he was a really good pitcher. which was awesome. I wish I would have seen that. He showed me his style all the time, you know. But I'm sure he was competitive with that too. We'd drive by South Christian, and I'd say, goodness, you must have played on like the basketball team or the baseball team. No, he said the family needed him at home. Excuse me. So he started working at the store early, and he was at school, then working. Started out by sorting pop bottles, and then that he mastered that right away, of course, and then he moved on handling eggs, which I just learned about yesterday, which is quite amazing. He was getting the eggs ready for the inspector. The inspector would come and never had problems with the eggs. Cal had them sorted properly. He was only like 10 at the time. Quite amazing work. He was cutting meat, pumping gas, whatever they needed him around the store at a young age. Thought that was super impressive. Never complained about that. He did wander off sometimes, which we know him to do. And when he'd wander off from the store, he'd go across the street to a barn, and they'd play basketball, him and his friend. And they'd say, "Where's Cal?" Well, he's across the street, and that's where he's learned to play basketball, in that barn with his friend, which is awesome. He even came up with an awesome, amazing marketing campaign when they wanted to sell more fuel at the store. He kind of developed this thing where, why don't we give free gas if someone pumps it just on the dollar? If they stop the gas pump right on the dollar, then they're going to get their free gas. So they promoted that. It's hard to do. He said everybody came from all over to get the gas now and try to win at that game and get free gas. And that was Cal's. That was his idea, and it certainly helped the store. Brought in new customers, which was awesome. So he was at school every day, worked Saturdays, but he did have a little fun though. On Saturday evenings, he would go skate, and his sisters would iron his shirt for him, his pink shirt from what I recall, is that right? And he'd get out there and skate, and I'm sure I could just picture him skating like backwards and fast and just loving it, and that was his big night, was Saturday night, which was really cool. When I first visited Grand Rapids, he was eager to excuse me, introduce me to all the iconic landmarks. He introduced me to the Hausmans, Marge's Donuts, all those great places we have here. But the one thing that stood out was Byron Center Meats. I mean, when I went in there with Dad, he just lit up. He knew everybody in the back room and the front, all the customers. I know he had a lot of different jobs, and he was an engineer and just did amazing work, but I feel like the Byron Center, that moment, that period in his life when he could work there and help them out especially during big operations, he loved that. He loved the camaraderie, seeing everybody, which was awesome. In modern society, we want results straight away. We want performance. We want it now. That was not Cal. He was all about the journey. I think Rich and Phil mentioned that too. I mean, for me, I completely saw that. I mean, it wasn't about, he did get results. I'm not saying he didn't. But it was about going through each step, being patient, getting through that project, not cutting corners, having conversations during that. And that's when he loved, that's the journey. That's what he was all about. And I always admired him for that, because he'd take the time, he'd be patient. With Kai, when he came to visit us in London, Kai and him were building like a bridge out of pluses, a little model bridge. They must have spent 3 days working on that. And it's, Kai he'll remember that forever. So he used to come visit me at my Coast Guard bases throughout my time, whether it be a ship or a base. And I was eager to introduce him to the top brass. The Admiral, the Master Chief, the head of the base. I just wanted him to meet all those people. And he wanted none of that. He was off talking to the most junior people on my crew. And he was connecting with them. The service members that were out there risking their lives, actually doing the work, he wanted to chat with those guys. The men and women, my junior crew members, he would just be questioning about what's your role here on the ship? Where are you from? He connected with those. I had so many people come visit me on my ship, and no one ever did that. He would leave and go back to Michigan. Weeks later, my crew would ask me, when's your dad coming back? We really liked him. It's pretty cool. I mean, he had that much impact, and I think everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about. He was able to chat with people and connect with them right away, and it was quite impressive. Rich mentioned that he has that international impact, and we got to go visit him in Ecuador, our family in Quito, where mom and dad were, and just amazing time in their lives. And we get there, and they have this lovely flat on the hill, and they'd walk down the hill to the school every day, and the baker would come out and chat with them and bring them bread. And they knew everybody on the way there. It was just an awesome experience that we saw. And Cal and mom and dad and mom, their relationship was so strong, and they were both committed to making some great impact in Quito and helping people. And it was just so awesome to see. I mean, that was one of the best moments I saw. Yeah, dementia hits you like a nor'easter in November. It's been tough the last couple of years. I think everybody knows it. We've been visiting Cal, and it's been tough. I mean, I think everybody that's gone to visit him recently, especially the past couple months, it was tough. Just a couple weeks ago, I was going through a tough moment in my life, and I was like, I'm going to go visit him, and this was just a few weeks ago, and sometimes he'd be resting or quite just may not know I even came in. I don't even think he did. So I just sat down and had my hands in my head, and tears were going down my cheeks. I thought he was sleeping, but I figured I'd just stay there for about an hour and then head home. After about 20 minutes, he comes over and puts his arm around my shoulder. I didn't think he knew I was there. And he gave me that encouraging conversation. I didn't even need to tell you what he said to me. And I think everybody here that's had those conversations with him know exactly what I'm talking about. He talked to me for about 20 minutes. And he gave me that encouragement, which was fantastic, that we all know that he does. He spent Christmas with us at our house a couple months ago, and just had a great time. We had such a lovely time at that Christmas. He seemed so happy to be around family, and it's a great memory that we'll take away with us. We want to thank everybody here on behalf of our family for the support you've given us, especially over the last couple of years. The visits to Cal, whether it be at Commonwealth or Mary Free Bed, he loved those visits, and he loved everybody that came to see him, and we appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you, Shed. Thank you. Thank you for sharing those stories. I think, again, like you said, we can all relate. We've had that conversation with him. Yeah, you all can think of that moment. Thank you. We're going to try to transition from that to another song. We'll see what song is going to be playing. I'm sorry. If it's the right song, this is a song that means a lot to the family. I'll leave it like that because that covers any song. So thank you all for listening.
Ooh. and cheer the heart like Jesus by his presence all divine. True and tender, pure and precious, oh, how blessed to call him mine. Oh, that thrills my soul is Jesus. He is more than life to me, and the fairest of 10,000 in my blessed Lord I see. Love of Christ so freely given, grace of God beyond degree, mercy higher than the heaven, deeper than the deepest sea. Oh, that thrills my soul is Jesus. He is more than life to me, and the fairest of 10,000 in my blessed Lord I see.
All right. Next, we have a dear friend of the family, someone who played a spiritual leadership role for Mary, for Cal, and Jeff, I am so glad that you are here to come and share some thoughts about Cal, the hope that he has, and thank you for being here and honoring him. Yeah, welcome, Jeff.
Hello, my name is Jeff Meheeve, and I was a Bible study leader for Cal for probably the last 15 years. And it was really great to have Cal and Mary in the group for all those years. And it wasn't just a Bible study, but we also had community time, and we shared our lives together on many different things. And there's kind of two big topics I want to share about Cal that are themes. When I met Cal, I probably met him the same way many of you met him. He was serving us. We walked into church and he was giving us a bagel. And we thought what everybody thinks, I think, the first thought you think with Cal, oh, that's really nice. And so we're getting the bagel from Cal. I think my wife asked him, so where did you get the bagels from? So he starts this story. And I'm like, did you steal these bagels? Where did you get these bagels? And he says, well, we wait till the place is going to close. And then we go in and ask them if we can take the old bagels. And I'm like, what? And then we take the bagels and we bring them to church. And then the ones that aren't at church, we go give to people who need. And I'm like, I just thought you were here giving us bagels. And I like that level of serving because that's where a lot of us are, nice and safe. Cal and Mary always take it to this next level of greatness, of craziness, of reckless abandon. They served Jesus with reckless abandon. And it was great and motivating to me because it really made me feel like I should probably enlarge my service level too and not just stay so safe. I'll give one quick example, but there are several examples. We're in Bible study and they're talking about these people that they have let stay in their house. Hey, we let these people stay in our apartment. Hey, that's great. Where did you meet them? On the side of the road. What? You met them on, and that is the attitude that they have. They went after serving Jesus with reckless abandon. And if it was a little too reckless, they were okay with that. They were okay with that. And I think the world would do better, we would do better if we put a little Cal and Mary into our service. I think that would be good for us. The other thing is Cal was passionate about God's glory, God's presence. we would study the Bible together, and when we get to those passages, he would get animated. He would get fired up about who God was and his glory. And he was a little protective of it, and maybe even a little annoying about it, if I could say that. So I would say, I think one day we were talking about like how the astronauts are selected and stuff, and I said, well, that's awesome. And he said, Jeff, have you gotten this from Cal? Have you gotten the 9-fingered thing where he points at you? Jeff, no one is awesome but God. No one, and I'm like, yes, I know, Cal, I know that. But he's right. He wanted to make sure, hey, being in God's presence and talking about God is really that is the awesome thing. That's the thing we should think about. His view of God was big and got bigger, and that is something I think, again, we should all follow for him. Be sad for the right things today. I'm sad because I miss him, but I'm not sad for him. He has been talking about this for a long time. And I imagine when I get to heaven, he's going to say, Jeff, come on, I got this stuff. I want to show you all these things. It's better than we thought. It's greater than we thought. So when I get there, he is going to greet me and bring me to see some cool stuff that he knows that I'm going to like. So I'm not sad for him. I'm sad for me. I'm sad for Mary. Yes, the family. Yes, be sad. But don't be sad for him. He is in the glory. He is learning about the glory of God right now as we speak, and we should take comfort in that reality and that fact. So I just want you guys to know those two pushes. Serve with a little Cal and Mary sprinkled in. And when you think about the big things, because we have these events, so we think about big things, think about enlarging your view of God's glory. And think of those things as we honor Cal. Let me pray for just one quick second. Lord, thanks for our friend Cal. Help us to imagine the moments that he's with you and long for that kind of a thing, longing to be in your presence as well. And Lord, help us to, when we serve, also to serve with a sense of maybe serving with a little more reckless abandon in the model of Cal and Mary. So thanks for our friend. We hand him to you in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Jeff. You're right. Cal and Mary take service to a different level. Yes, I agree with that, and we've seen that even just as a family, the way they went out of their way to help us when we were first married. The things that we have to go with our kids is to the next level. Yeah. As you know, Cal has 6 sisters. And my theory is that sometimes his stories went too long because he had a chance to speak, because the other sisters were not there. You know I'm telling the truth, you know. Anyways, the 6 of them wanted to come up and say something, but it would be difficult to get through this message. And so they've asked Julie to have the honor to come up and speak on their behalf. So, Julie.
So this is from the sisters, and I apologize if I am not quite as animated as they are, and if I don't use quite as many hand gestures as I can, but I will try and do you justice, okay? All right. So this is from their perspective, but I'm going to read it exactly as they wrote. We always knew that Cal was the favorite son. He was born 3rd out of 7 kids and found himself surrounded by all the girls, 2 older and 4 younger. We can't tell you how many times we heard, poor Cal, or that poor boy. But he handled it with ease or force or whatever it took. But let it be known, he was the only one who didn't have to share a bed, and he could use the bathroom all by himself. In our small little farmhouse with 1 bathroom. When he took too long in the bathroom and there was a lineup of girls waiting, we would peek through the keyhole to see what he was doing. only to find that he was styling his crew cut with a butch wax. Soon he figured out that if he put a towel over the doorknob, he would have privacy. He was a creative kid, maybe out of necessity. Renelle has a memory of, during a bad thunderstorm, she ran downstairs and crawled in bed with him. They snuggled and watched the storm till it ended. Cal was good at making us feel protected and safe. When he was a preteen, he wanted to work in the muck. He loved working outside in the field, chopping onions and cutting celery. He also loved to play jokes on the younger co-workers. He tells the story of offering his boss's daughter $1 to take a big bite of a raw onion, saying it might taste like an apple. She took a huge bite and got so mad. He thought that it was hilarious, of course. So he decided to offer Renelle and Nan $1 to take a bite. Renelle fell for the bribe. Oh man, he may have gotten in a little bit of trouble for that one. Many hours were spent in the store for Cal as well. He and his sister Mary had many heart-to-heart talks together. They became very close, like two peas in a pod. Something that she cherishes, and I'm sure he did too. He spent lots of time in the basement of the store sorting thousands of pop bottles by putting them in wooden crates according to brands. He also spent hours and hours in the basement candling eggs. He told us that one time when he was candling, an inspector came and just stood there and watched him for quite some time. When he asked how he learned how to do that, Cal said, "My dad taught me to look for cracks and impurities, but," this is pure Cal, "but I created my own system." Right? He always had his own system of doing things that improved upon the way that it was. "I created my own system to grade and size." He was 13 at the time, just the beginning of a long lifetime of creating his own way to make things better. Cal was proud when the inspector told him that he was impressed. When Cal was about 14 years old, he began to learn to cut meat. First on the slicer, the grinder, and finally the saw. He did have a big mishap and severely cut his finger. It healed with a permanent bend after surgery, and it did sure get in the way of shooting buckets when he was playing basketball. He loved his sports. Baseball was another favorite of his. He played with all his heart. It's pretty true of everything that he did. Everything that he did was with his whole heart. He helped the girls learn how to play softball in the yard and played catch over the roof of the garage. There were maybe a few broken windows along the way. As adults, they were so grateful that he took a leadership role in the family. He had a servant's heart. He led in family prayers and devotions, always listened, shared lots of stories, and was very supportive, even when they were a bit silly. Like when they created their own Red Hat Society. We celebrated with a weekend surprise getaway when each of us turned 50. We all wore purple shirts and red hats, and not to be left out, he made sure he wore his own red hat. He would make sure that all the hostesses, waitresses, and guests of every restaurant that they went into would know that all of these beautiful women were all his beautiful sisters. At that point, he came up with his own slogan, 6 lovelies and the ugly sister. He always had so much fun. He loved it, and so did everybody around us. He once gave a testimony that he was a ladies' man. Let me explain. He said, "I was born of my precious mom, then later for a short time with my stepmother. I was blessed with 6 lovely sisters, married my beautiful wife, and was again blessed with 3 amazing daughters. They went on to bless me with 6 adorable granddaughters. And that's a lot of ladies." If I may interrupt, and just interject my own thought for just a second, I told him that I was having a son, and he was like, "Stop! No, you can't be teasing me like that. I need a little bit more masculine reinforcement here." But that is a lot of ladies, and he said again, "I am so blessed." But he handled life surrounded by all these ladies really well. He loved adventures, He loved travel and mission trips. He had a great sense of humor with witty responses. He loved to have fun. He was supportive, talented, creative, and kind. He made people be seen and supported. He was a godly example to all of us. Cal was our very favorite brother. We love him so much.
Thank you, Julie. All right, we have a couple of things that we would like to do with all of you that we have left in our program for today. The next thing that we're going to do is with this song, It Is Well With My Soul. This song was dear, dear to Cal, and there are many stories about him, about this song, about him, because during hard times, this is the song that brought him a lot of comfort. I remember him talking about this song when I first met him. So during this song, what we're going to do is that we're going to pay tribute to Cal. So we are going to have his sisters and part of our family laying some flowers here at the table. So join us in that song, and we'll go ahead and start putting some flowers on the table.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul, with my soul. It is well with my soul. My sin, know the bliss of this glorious thought. My sin, not in part, but the whole, is nailed to the cross, and I bear it no more. Praise the Lord, oh my soul. It is well with my soul, with my soul. It is well with my soul. And Lord, haste the day when my face shall be sight, the clouds be rolled back as a scroll, the trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul, with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul.
Phil talked about not being able to hear Cal's voice anymore. You know, I can't go out to eat ice cream with him anymore, take our kids with him, or share a meal with him. So I take it upon myself to carry his spirit, to carry what he did with everybody, each one of us. To be kind, to be welcoming, to extend a helping hand. He was always eager to help and to welcome everybody, to be like Jesus. That's what he taught me to do. And so go out, celebrate his life, you know, get his example. He learned from an early age how to be like Jesus, and that's what I would invite you all to do. And so as we close today, we are going to go downstairs and have some light refreshments and be with each other. So you have some homework to do. So I am inviting you all, as you encounter someone, perhaps you don't know them, or perhaps you've known this person for 30, 40 years, as most of Cal's friends. But share, how did you get to know Cal? What was your first encounter with him? And what's a favorite memory that you have with him? So we will go downstairs. That's your homework. And again, thank you all for being here. This is amazing. It's touching. It's how Cal would want us to celebrate him. His dear friends, dear family, we're all here. Thank you to all the ones who were not able to make it. I'm sure he's saying, yeah, this has been a good celebration. So thank you all. Anything else? Anybody from the family? We good?
If they can write some of the memories too.
Oh yes, we have several boxes throughout. If you want to write a memory, please do so. The family will collect them, and we're gonna put them in an album, and just have them as memories for the family. So thank you all. Downstairs, share your story. All right, thank you. Oh, Bob, which way should we go downstairs?
We will dismiss you. We'll dismiss you by row. We'll have you work dismiss the family first out to the front here, and we'll work our way to the back. If you have trouble with the stairs, we do have an elevator available for you on the far side of the lobby. But please join the family for some refreshments afterwards. Thank you.
Amen.